All right, hello. Today feels a little bit weird because I'm going to talk about something that I feel that most people identify me with, but makes me feel like a massive fraud because I can no longer do pull-ups. So it seems a little bit weird because one, I'm a personal trainer who specializes in calisthenics, yet can't do pull-ups at the moment. Two, it feels like this is what my entire channel, apart from weight loss, has been built on. And three, it kind of feels like it was always my identity, and it feels a bit weird that I'm okay with the fact that I can't do pull-ups. So in this video, we're going to talk about why it's happened, why I can no longer do pull-ups, what I'm going to do about it, and kind of how I feel. But if you're in the same boat as me and you want to relearn/learn pull-ups, then hopefully this video will help you a little bit, not just in some ideas on how you can actually get there and progressions and workouts that you can use, but also just the mindset of being okay at restarting something again, or relearning something, or starting something completely new that you feel like was out of the realms of possibility. And if by the off chance you have just completely randomly landed on this video and you have never seen my face before, a very, very, very brief overview of who I am. I am Lucy. Several years ago, well, several years, probably over a decade ago, I lost a significant amount of weight. I was never sporty, never into fitness, not strong or anything like that. Eventually, I set myself a goal of being able to do a chin-up for New Year's. It took me a long time, but we eventually got there, and I fell in love with calisthenics. Fast forward a couple more years and I became a personal trainer, started this channel, specialised in calisthenics, still love it, still love doing handstands and doing anything with body weight. And that was kind of always my jam, and yet here we are, and I'm unable to do pull-ups. So without further ado, let's talk about why I can no longer do them, because it probably seems a little bit weird considering it's kind of my job. Okay, so the actual fundamental reason that I can't do pull-ups anymore is because when I was deep into calisthenics and I was doing it all the time, I could bash out pull-ups and chin-ups, and my dips were really good. Everything was feeling pretty strong and I consistently trained that. However, over the last few years, you haven't seen it as much on YouTube, but if you follow me on Instagram, you would definitely seen it over there. My interests and hobbies have expanded and I have very much grown to love the outdoors, and with that has come a lot of things like endurance, cardio challenges and types of training. So just this year alone, I have been training for an ultra marathon, so my endurance runs have gone through the roof and I've been doing longer distances and lots of cardio. Then on top of that, I'm obsessed with hiking, so pretty much any given week I'm probably out hiking 2 times a week if possible, if not more. And we're not just talking small walks, we're talking really big mountainous days out. I absolutely love mountaineering. So much so that I started an entire separate business to try and get women into the outdoors. You can check it all out below. It's called Made Wild Adventures. We actually have a group trip to Madeira in October, which has just launched. If you want to check out the details, it's going to be pretty epic. It is also going to include lots of hiking, but we might get some pull-ups in there as well. So lots of cardio endurance in my running, lots of cardio endurance in my hiking. And then on top of that, I love climbing. And I know climbing and pull-ups seem to go hand in hand, but I was really focused on my skill in climbing and trying to not use my strength as much, because believe it or not, climbing is a real full body sport and it's not just about upper body strength. A lot of skill, a lot of using your legs, which people don't really think about. So I've been focusing on that, getting outdoors, again, cardio, and just different forms of training, which one, if you know anything about training, cardio and strength, they don't really go hand in hand unless you have a really good balance. And we know I'm the queen of imbalance. I definitely shun all the information that I know is right and just follow my heart, which is great in some regards, but also is going to lead me to not having the most optimal training program. And then secondly, just time. I just haven't really had the time to consistently train calisthenics, with going away for hiking trips, for work trips for hiking, to mountaineering, etc, etc. It's just taken away a lot of the time that I used to be able to dedicate to calisthenics. So mainly because of those two reasons, I've started to see a steady and slow decline in all my calisthenics abilities. However, pull-ups were always my weak point. I'm really good at push movements, so dips and handstands and push-ups, fine. I can pretty much maintain those all year round, but pulling has always been my weak spot, not just physically, but mentally. I always tell myself that these are really hard for me. And so a combination of all these factors has led to the fact that my pull-ups have basically become non-existent. And when I say non-existent, I mean non-existent. I mean, I could barely get myself to the bar. I might have a better luck with a chin-up where your hands are supinated, just because naturally most people are stronger at pull-ups because it's a bit more anterior based, but pull-ups, That being said, my training ethos at the moment is very much I want to do things that I enjoy, and I want to work on things that make me happy, but also have an ability to transfer across to all my other hobbies and interests and sports. So for example, pull-ups and calisthenics will be really helpful for all of those things that I do. For calisthenics, for climbing, hiking, running, all of those things, being able to be strong and have really good proprioception in your body and coordination and all those stabilizer muscles working is going to be tip top for all of those things. So it's definitely something that I would love to focus on a little bit more. And also I kind of just want to get that skill back because you feel a bit badass when you can do them. I think one more thing to add here would be last year and maybe the year before that, I was overtraining and I was underfueling. I really wasn't giving my body the fuel it needed to be able to get it to do and perform for the activities and the amount of effort that I was asking it to do, which is a very, very silly thing to do. And so that definitely didn't help because I lost a lot of muscle mass. And I think all of that really started to lead to the decline of my calisthenics. But the good news, as you can probably tell, is I'm really not that sad about it. And I know this might be surprising to a lot of people. I always say that if I'm not worried about it and it's my job, then most people shouldn't be. And I say this to my clients all the time because they'll be beating themselves up about the fact they've not been consistent with their workouts, or they're not making as much progress as they'd like to see, or that they've taken a week off or whatever it might be. And I'm saying, I do exactly the same and it's my job. So if I'm not stressed about it, you sure as heck don't need to be stressed about it. And I'm not worried about this. I actually see this as a great thing. This is an opportunity for me to be a learner again, to be able to absolutely nail the fundamentals, to get really strong and actually enjoy the process, because you really don't get to be this person, this beginner, this learning phase that long. It's always going to feel like you're constantly moving that goalpost, and we are, but it's nice to actually feel like I'm starting afresh. We're going to take this one step at a time and we're going to really find some enjoyment in it. I absolutely used to be in the camp, beat myself up if I've lost strength because it feels like a failing on my part, or it feels like a massive couple of steps backwards. And I see this all the time with things like injuries as well. But now I just see it as an opportunity to really connect with my body. I know that sounds a little bit woo-woo, but it really does give me a chance to connect with my body and to find that passion and love of movement again, which I had when I started calisthenics. And so I'm sure that brings us on to the point of how the heck are we gonna improve our pull-ups? So lots of different plans of attack here, but the main essence of it is to keep it simple, stupid. So to start with, I'm going to work on frequency over intensity. So I'm going to essentially grease the groove. Because I've got so many other forms of training, I don't want to really be going in too hard and exhausting myself with calisthenics. But if I do it at a slightly lower than max effort level, and I do it a lot more consistently, especially because I used to be able to do this, then that muscle memory is going to be there. And in essence, with a lot less effort, I should be able to get my pull-ups back. So that is the first port of call. I have completely reworked my training program. I actually got really inspired because I redid one of my clients' training programs this week and I just got super excited. So I was like, I'm gonna do my own one, and I completely rewrote it so it works for all my different hobbies. I'm gonna try that out for a little while and see how I find it. So within that, I've included 2 to 3 shorter calisthenics sessions each week, which I'm actually going to back with some heavier compound sessions, which are mainly gonna be focused on my lower body. And that's obviously gonna help for like my running and also for my climbing and hiking. But believe it or not, it will help for my calisthenics too. Second point of action is to focus on strength fundamentals. So we're gonna strip it right back. I'm not gonna try and do anything fancy. I just want to work on absolutely nailing the basics and making them chef's kiss perfect, because at the moment they are anything but. They are very sloppy. So for me, one thing that's always hindered my pull-up progress is my lats just don't seem to activate. So I've been working really hard on that's a tongue twister, on lat activation exercises, which look a little bit crazy. I look like one of those praying mantises or lotuses that just kind of does this, but fantastic exercises to help really engage my lats and make them realize that they can actually do some work, and then absolutely nailing the form. So I don't care, I'm gonna strip the ego back. I don't care if I have to use the thickest band in the gym to be able to really engage my lats, to feel it, to be able to get the entire range of motion. That is the aim of the game, and that's what we want. To help with this, I'm gonna be really nailing all the accessory exercises as well. So think things like scapular pull-ups, really helpful. I'm gonna try and do them as much as possible, and I will probably add them into my climbing sessions as well. Number 3 is that I'm going to probably use a mixture of eccentrics and banded chin-ups and pull-ups, at the moment rather than going for the full movements. Eccentrics are just an incredible exercise for anything if you're learning it. It's essentially when you slow down the downward phase of the exercise or the muscle lengthening phase. So in a pull-up, that would be starting at the top with the bar at your chest and coming down nice and slowly. So I'm going to be doing those a lot just to really get the range of motion, to get my body to know which muscles to engage and be able to control that movement. I might even throw in some statics as well, so isometric stuff where I'm holding myself in one position, either at the top, in the middle, or at the bottom. So you'll probably know if you've tried chin-ups or pull-ups before, those tend to be the sticky points because they are the hardest parts of the movement. Firstly, engaging your scapula. Secondly, once you get to about 90 degrees with your arms, pulling through there and then locking out at the top and being able to hold yourself there and stay really strong. Those are the things I want to focus on. If I can nail those things, work in the negatives, keep on top of my accessories and do it regularly and grease the groove of my training, we should be on to a winner. In terms of a time frame, I'm not 100% sure how long I'm expecting it to take, just because again, I have so many other forms of training, and because of those things, my fueling becomes a lot more important to consider day in, day out. So I've got to work on those things, and it takes a little bit of time to find exactly the right thing, especially when I've done this massive shuffle of all my training, which I'm very, very excited about. But in terms of time frame, I suppose my expectation would be roughly to get to the end of summer and be able to do pull-ups again. In terms of how many that I want to be able to do or would like to be able to get to, I'm not really that fussed, because again, I always come back to, why do we really need to do some? Sometimes I meet people and they say, I want to be able to do 20 chin-ups or 20 push-ups. And I say, that's great. What's the reason for that? If they have a very valid reason, it might be they've got a competition, or it might be that they just have always had that goal in mind. Fantastic. But realistically, I don't really feel like I need to be able to do more than, say, 6 really clean, good form pull-ups at the moment. It doesn't really matter for me. So if I could do 6, I would be so happy with that. Even 5, I would be pretty happy with, because I could break it into sets of 5 and do like 4 sets of 5, 20 pull-ups, something like that would be lovely. I mean, it would be incredible. So that would be perfect for me. And also I have to bear in mind that there's so many other things I'm working on. I'm still working on all my other calisthenic skills and getting the strength back in those. So things like handstands, push-ups, dips. There's a couple of skills I'd actually like to work on again. Pistol squats have gone down the drain, so I'd like to work on those again. Human flag would be an interesting one to work on, and then back levers, toes to bar, any L-sit variations, I am terrible at, and it's because I neglect them, because I'm terrible at them, and that's something that I want to stop doing. So loads of other things I want to focus on. So how many I get to isn't really a huge focus of mine right now. It's more so just being able to get to the point where I can do several really good form pull-ups and feel confident in my ability to do so. Lastly, I'm going to make a few tweaks to it, but I have a pull-up program on my workout app, and I'm going to vaguely follow that as well within my greasing the groove. So when I'm at home, I'm really fortunate that I have a squat rack with a pull-up bar in my living room, and as I walk past it, I'm going to get into the habit of doing some form of part of that training program on my bar. So it's just, again, greasing the groove, doing things regularly but not to my maximum effort, which means I can train more often, and it gives my body the chance to adapt, to know what's going on, to build strength, to build proprioception around the area, and for my nervous system to know what's going on without having to put too much effort or too much additional volume into my training. Again, if you want to check out the app, it's on Playbook. All the information is down below. I have a beginner and intermediate workout program for calisthenics. I also have pull-up program, handstand program, push-up program, HIIT, and a few other bits, and there's more to come. So if you ever want to check that out, you can get 7 days free, link below. And so that is basically how we're going to get there, and it leads us very nicely onto the last bit of the video, which is just general mindset I just wanted to have a chat to you about. I think the first thing that I want to mention is that I feel as I'm getting older, I'm 35 now, that my mindset is shifting in terms of what I want from my workouts and what it is to be, I cringe when I say it, an athlete. People call me an athlete and I'm like, I'm not an athlete, because my imposter syndrome says heck no. But when you look at some of the things that I do, if I look at it objectively, I am ticking the boxes of an athlete. So the mindset that I have been building as I've gotten older is that I am so grateful for what my body can do, and don't get me wrong, I have so many days where I don't like the way my body looks. I'm really annoyed about how it performs. Maybe I'm having a day where it just feels weaker. I might be a part of my cycle, or I might not be fueled as well. I might be stressed, or I might have not slept as well. Whatever it might be, there is a zillion reasons why our bodies are constantly changing, but I am finding it easier to shift my focus to think more about what my body is capable of doing, and then be grateful for the things that it actually pulls out of the bag, because it is pretty bloomin' phenomenal. And I am finding it easier to have the hard sessions where I feel like I've taken 2 steps backwards and not necessarily enjoy them, because I'm not going to sit here and say it's that easy, but I can within that session rationalize it and find some type of enjoyment even when it feels really hard. And usually that just comes from, firstly, a grateful appreciation for what my body allows me to do. Secondly, knowing that it's good to struggle. Struggling shows that you're making progress. It shows that you're pushing yourself to the point that you need to be at to make that progress. If you're not feeling that way, the chances are that you're going to be in some type of maintenance, or for lack of a better word, stagnating and just staying in the same spot. And that's not where growth comes from. So really, we should be embracing this struggle, the difficulty. So if you are struggling, that does not show that you're failing, and that doesn't show that you're weak. That shows the opposite. It shows that you're progressing and that you have strength, and that you are pushing yourself and your body to see what it's capable of, and then to make those adaptations to make the training possible. And that is how we get stronger. That's how we get fitter. That's how we improve. Another thing that I found that I'm getting much better at is unlearning ego and just being able to be okay with being new at things again. No one likes to be the newbie. No one likes to be learning something for the first time and look like they don't really know what they're doing. But I think actually it's an amazing place to be. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter what level you get to. You could be really, 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 really good at calisthenics. You should still be pushing yourself, because it's like a never-ending journey where you can constantly be leveling up. So everyone should really be at that point where they do feel afraid, they do feel nervous, they do feel like they're a newbie at what they're learning. And ultimately, if you had been there and you've taken a step back, there's usually a reason for that. And again, it shows strength that you're back there relearning it, and you're not letting your ego take over and saying, no, I must be doing it the way that I used to do it, or that I should be stronger than this, or that you're not just willing to come back a few steps. And here's the big one as well. Life is just too short. If I was constantly worrying about the fact that I can't do pull-ups, I think I should have bigger fish to fry. Ultimately, I am so fortunate that I have so many hobbies that I absolutely adore and love and bring so much to my life, and calisthenics is just one of those. And yes, it happens to be part of my job, but I can still coach people and see them make incredible progress without having to do pull-ups myself, because I have been in that position and I will be in that position again. But ultimately, these aren't big problems. If you can't do a pull-up, or you can't do a push-up, or you can't do a handstand, it's great to be able to work on that, and how fortunate we are to get to choose to do that and put ourselves in that struggle and that challenge and that discomfort. But ultimately, it really doesn't matter. There is much bigger problems and much bigger things to work on. Ultimately, it's really not that big a deal. So don't be beating yourself up if you've lost strength, or that you feel like you're not really making much progress. Just reestablish, am I pushing myself? Just reestablish the basics. Am I pushing myself in the gym? Am I letting my ego take over? Am I being realistic with my expectations? And is this really the biggest problem right now? Because usually it's just not that big a deal. For me now, training really is just about having a strong, functional, for lack of a better word, body that allows me to do the things that I want to be able to do, to allow me to play with my niece and my nephew and just feel good within my body. Yes, obviously I have some training goals that I'm working towards, and that really helps. For example, having signed up to an ultra marathon, or saying to myself, I want to be able to do X amount of pull-ups by the end of summer, but it's really not that big. But ultimately, a combination of having those goals, which keeps me accountable for getting those movements in and getting the workouts in, and also doing it because it brings more to my life than anything else, just has made this whole process enjoyable again. I'm not constantly beating myself up. I'm not constantly worried about what I'm achieving. I can actually just sort of meet myself where I'm at and enjoy the journey. And not only that, but it's having an impact on people around me, my friends joining in my training, and just being able to socialize with those things a little bit more and just take it all as it comes. It's so freeing. Sorry, battery died so close to the end as well. But anyway, I'm going to essentially leave this video here. I want this to be motivating. I want to encourage you that if you are learning a skill for the first time, experienced, non-experienced, it's completely out your comfort zone, you feel like you're too old, you feel like you're too young, just give it a go. Let go of some of the expectations and enjoy the process. I'm right here along with you, and I will keep you updated on how this goes. I maybe will make a follow-up video in a month or two so you can see how it's going, because I'm hoping by then I will have made some progress. I will keep you guys updated on how my progress goes. I'll probably make a follow-up video maybe in a month or so you can see how I'm tracking. I'm actually headed to the gym right now. I'm gonna go and do one of the workouts from my app. So don't forget to check it out below if you want to see any of the workout programs. I hope you are all having the most amazing week so far. How is it almost June? I will keep you updated. Thank you for your support as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.